Heidi. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you love bookish things, you're in the right place. Today we have a massive book video for you. I have a lot of bookish tasks that I need to get done before the year really starts to ramp up, and one of the priorities on that list is reorganizing my bookshelf. There really is no rhyme or reason to my bookshelf. Honestly, the shelf may look big, but with the amount of books that I've read, it really doesn't hold as many as I like, and I don't really like the layout of it right now. So I need to go in and reorganize, and I've noticed that like all of my favorite books are on the top shelf, which you can't really see, so I'm gonna bring those down and put the books that I don't really like on the top shelf because you don't see them anyways, and I'd just rather not show off books that I don't like or that I don't think represent my personality very well. So that's one of my priorities for today. And I also want to set up my 2025 reading journal, but I need to wrap up some things in my 2024 reading journal first before I can jump into that. And I also have a mini book haul that I wanted to do because I went book shopping yesterday and I got some books I'm really excited about that are a little bit outside my typical genres that I read. So I'm looking forward to picking those up and of course adding them to my TBR cart or my TBR shelf, wherever they'll fit. But we'll get to that shortly. Without further ado, we need to tackle this mess because I just can't stand it anymore. While I organize my bookshelf, I am going to listen to an audiobook. I just finished Quicksilver and really enjoyed it. Surprisingly, I actually didn't think I was going to. I kind of want a book now that isn't fantasy, so I decided to pick up Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. It is narrated by Meryl Streep, which I think is really cool. So I'm gonna listen to this one while I tackle the bookshelf, and I'll give a little update when I'm done. I also have these adorable figurines. This is the cereal from A Court of Thorns and Roses, and this is La Habba from Crescent City. And I love having these on my shelves and I want to show them off a little bit more. So I'm gonna probably bring all of my Sarah J Maas books down a level, and all of my least favorite books are gonna go up top, and we'll see how that looks. But these guys are just so cute. Making some progress. I definitely like this layout better than before. I have, okay, so my TBR cart and my TBR shelf don't hold all of my books that are on my TBR. I know, it's ridiculous. So what I plan to do is the top shelf. I'm actually going to add my 25 priority books that I have for 2025. That way they're just out in the open and I have them as a visual and I can just pull from that to complete that challenge throughout the year. That will also clear up space on my TBR cart and TBR shelf for other books that are on this shelf that I haven't actually read. So over there in that corner, those are other priority books that I want to read, but they're not necessarily on my 25 and 2025 list. So I do plan to move those either to my TBR shelf or my TBR cart. And I have some plants as well that I'm gonna use to fill in some of the gaps. But I definitely like how it's looking a lot more. And I feel like the books that are on display are actually books that represent me and my favorite books and just my personality. These are ones that I'm proud to show off. And then down below, you can't see them, which I actually don't like that you can't see them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shift them, but all of my dark romance books are gonna go over there. They're all behind the chair right now. And then the bottom shelf is all of my nonfiction, self-help books, biographies, autobiographies, all of that. So all of that is gonna get moved probably behind the chair here. That's a lot of strategizing. Just let the magic happen. Also listening to Tom Lake. It's okay, it's kind of slow. I do think it's really cool though that they're talking about the play Our Town in the beginning, and I actually was in that play in high school. So at least I'm following everything that they're talking about, which is kind of like cool nostalgia thing. But overall, the actual story is really slow and I just like don't really understand it yet. But I just started it, so I'll give it some time. So we'll start from the top down, but up here, these are the only books on the shelf that I actually have not read. So these are my 25 books that I've prioritized in 2025 that I want to read this year. I also, this is not on that list, but I have the Manacled set here. Have not read this yet. It is on my list for this year, but it's just one that I know I'm gonna get around to, so I didn't need to put it on my 25 and 2025 reading list. So all of these books I put up here because I don't want them to get lost in my TBR. I want to be able to visualize them, see them. And then my goal is every month, I'm going to pick 2 books out of these 25 so that I'll be on track by the end of the year to have finished all 25 books. And then next we have my Mossverse books. I just love all of these books so much. So before they were all up here, they weren't as front and center, and I really love these books and wanted to make sure that they were displayed. And then over here, I have all of my more literary fiction, historical fiction, and thrillers. I don't read too much of that, so they have a smaller section off to the side. And then here we have all of my fantasy books and romantasy books. So I feel like these associate with my personality the most, so I wanted these front and center. I love these so much. Over here we have all of my romances with a honorable mention of my Dune set, mostly because they make for a good bookend. Okay, and then down here by the bottom, you can see, so all of these books here, I have actually read, but I don't like them. And these are books that I've either DNF'd, I didn't like at all, books I won't be continuing, and also just books I just don't want associated with my personality or like my reading style. I'm not saying these books were bad, I just didn't really enjoy them. But over here, I love all these books. These are more of my sci-fi dark romantasy or dark romance books. So we have obviously my Ruby Dixon books, and then we have my dark romance here. But everything from here over are books that I just did not enjoy. Actually, that's not true. These right here are my historical, that's a historical biography. This is an autobiography. And then here are like my poetry books. I do like those. shelves. So basically from here over are books that I don't like. And then on my bottom shelf are books that are more like self-help or other nonfiction or autobiographies that I will get around to reading at some point, just not interested in picking up now. And then of course down here, hidden behind Grogu, are all of my kind of graphic novels and comic books that I enjoy reading. So he's not intentionally covering them. I am proud of those. He's so dang cute here. I kind of just have to put him there. He's so cute. Okay, that is all for my bookshelf rearranging venture. I like it way better than I did before. You can actually see the books that I feel are associated with my personality and also better represent my typical reading style, my reading taste. So very excited about all of that. I do also have a mini book haul of some TBR books that I'm going to be adding to my cart. Went book shopping yesterday and I got 5 books, so I mean, do I need more books? No, but I am very much looking forward to these particular books, so let's go through them real quick. Okay, so the first book that I got is The War of Two Queens by J.L. Armentrout. I believe this one is the 4th book in the From Blood and Ash series. I do admittedly still need to finish the 3rd book in that series. I got about 10% of the way through. I did just get a little bored, not because the book was bad, but because I had just read all of 3 of those books back to back and I think I just needed a break, and that break has been over a year long. So I'm going to pick that book back up and then move on to this one. I did really enjoy this series. Very high fantasy, definitely heavy on the romance, which I enjoy from time to time. So looking forward to finishing that one and then picking this one up right away just so I can re-immerse myself in that world. Sticking with JLA, I also got Shadow in the Ember, which is part of her other series. This in particular is the JLA series that I hear people raving about, but it's also why I got the 4th book in the From Blood and Ash series, because I do have the feeling, I don't know if there's like a reading order for these or if the universes are even connected. I think they are, but also I want to get back into that series just to kind of re-immerse myself in her writing before diving into this one, but this is one I've been eager to pick up for a long time now. Sticking with fantasy, but a little bit of a change of pace, I got Impossible Creatures. I know, this is actually a children's book, but it is so cute. It reminds me of Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk, if anybody ever read that when they were younger. Those books are just the reason that I really got into fantasy in the first place and really just sparked my love of reading when I was younger. And sometimes I'm just interested in picking up a children or YA fantasy. A lot of times now I feel like fantasy is mixed in so heavily with romance that the romance is majority of the plot and the fantasy itself actually isn't that good or very original. So I know that this won Children's Book of the Year, which is, I love that. I love that fantasy has won Children's Book of the Year, but also this one was so cute. It has really, really cool pictures. Like, look at this. Look how freaking cute that is. That is so cool. So I was excited about that. And in all honesty, the reason that I picked this one up has a lot to do with Howl's Moving Castle, because Howl's Moving Castle is technically a children's book, but I really liked it, or I liked the show. And so I got the book and I'm excited to read that one this year as well. But I love this artwork and it really just reminded me of Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah, change of pace. And also I think this one will be a good palette cleanser. The artwork in this is actually phenomenal though. Wow. Next is a book that I think has one of the coolest covers I've ever seen, but is also one that I've only heard a couple book girlies talk about, but they all love it. And that is Anatomy, a Love Story. This cover is so cool. If you look, it looks like a heart, but it's actually a woman sitting in her dress. That is just so original and so cool to me. But this book is essentially about a woman who wants to become a doctor or a surgeon, but in that time period, it wasn't really allowed. And so she wasn't able to progress in med school like she wanted to. So she ends up hiring a resurrection man, which is basically a man who digs up bodies from a graveyard for a living. So she hires him, I think, so that she could practice on those bodies to become a doctor. Very interesting premise. This is, I believe, a duology, which I love short series. I am not a huge fan of just standalone books, but sometimes I don't want to invest in like 8 books. Love Throne of Glass, but I probably won't be doing a series that long for a very long time. And then finally, this might be one of the most beautiful covers I have ever seen. It is so Tim Burton and I love it. It is A Dark and Drowning Tide. Look at this cover. This is just so beautiful. I'm just blown away by this cover. It is stunning. It's giving Timothée Chalamet up here, which I don't know how I feel about that, but I've heard a couple of my friends talk about this book. It's not super popular right now, but the ones who have read it have enjoyed it, so figured I'd pick it up. Okay, hi friends. It is obviously the next day. Got a little caught up doing other things around the house. It was just before New Year's, so I'm sure you guys can relate. I feel like the end of the year just came so fast, and it's already 2025 at the point that I'm filming this video, which is absolutely wild. I just cannot believe it. But it actually worked out well that I ended up taking a break from filming, because in that amount of time, I got my first book mail ever. My first book fairy. And I actually know who this book fairy is. She is the sweetest. This is from Yaz, and I haven't opened it yet, so I can't wait to see what she sent me. Quick little side story, Yaz and I met in the most random ways, and this is your sign where if you see a real life book girly out in the world, go make a friend. Because I feel like I'm literally always at Barnes & Noble or in the Target book section. Like, I promise you, weekly. Like, my Barnes & Noble people know me by name, which is kind of embarrassing. But you know what, it is what it is. But I was at Barnes & Noble and I saw this girl doing the birthday book challenge where she gets 5 minutes to walk around the bookstore, look for her favorite books, scout them out, and then like 90 seconds to go and grab as many books as she can for her birthday. So I saw her doing this and I was like, that is a true book girly. I bet she's got a book talk. I bet she's got a booksta, and she does, so I will link them below. But anyways, so after her challenge, because I didn't want to interrupt her timing, I was like, this is weird, but can I have your Goodreads? And my book club is picking back up in January if you want to join. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. We've literally been chatting nonstop, which is also so funny because I was just scrolling randomly on Book Talk and I happened to find her on my For You page. Like, we weren't connected on TikTok at that point. And I was like, so funny, I'm the girl that stopped you in the bookstore and asked you if you were doing the book challenge and if you wanted to be friends. So anyways, long story short, she's amazing. She and I are now doing a buddy read together. We're reading Caraval, and she's also going to be joining my little book club that I do with my friends here locally. They always say shoot your shot, but I feel like it also applies to the book girlies. If you see a real life book girly out in the wild, go say hello, introduce yourself, because I feel like we're all just like the friendliest community ever. But definitely introduce yourself. You never know when you're gonna make a new friend, and this community is just so amazing. But without further ado, I'm gonna open what Yaz got me. Okay, I'm just gonna blindly grab a book and pull it out. Nice, okay. She gave me Finale. We are in the middle of Legendary right now. We both read Caraval with one of her friends and did a buddy read for that because none of us really love YA books. They can just be a little bit slow, especially if we're used to reading high fantasy. We were like, okay, we need accountability buddies. Let's start a book club and like a little buddy read on Fable. It was so fun, guys. I had a blast. I don't think I would have enjoyed Caraval as much as I did had it not been for that buddy read. That was amazing. We're reading Legendary right now. I am a little bit behind. I think she and her friend are already almost done, so I gotta do some catching up after this video. But she got me Finale, so obviously the buddy read continues. Yes, thank you so much. Can't wait. Okay, book 2. How does it feel? Nice. Okay. The Infatuated Fae, book 1. This cover is so cool, by the way. I love the moths. That is awesome. Okay, let me see what this is about. She knows I love fairies and stuff. When a trip into the forest to collect a rare mushroom for her research goes horribly wrong, biologist Callie Pearson finds herself falling through a fairy portal and straight into the arms of the unseelie Fae prince. The unseelie, that is just such a enchanting word. I love that. The dangerously unhinged and viciously handsome unseelie Fae prince. I love that specification, thank you. He thinks she's an assassin sent by the humans to kill him, not a scientist, and he imprisons her in his realm, where unwittingly, his obsession with her begins to grow. Dun dun dun, enemies to lovers, gotta love it. Prince Mendax, interesting name. We'll have to work through that. Maybe Dax, maybe she calls him Dax. Okay, Prince Dax has never felt anything but loathing until his eyes met hers, this vile human assassin. He believes she's here to kill him, yet her beauty is a parasite that has mercilessly latched onto his mind and won't let go. Very nice. I'm so excited to read this, yes, thank you. And it's not that long of a book, and I feel like we all set pretty hefty reading goals this year, and my TBR for January includes a lot of really big books, 500 plus pages. So to have a book that's 300 pages, what a gift. I am so thankful for this. You have no idea. Okay, and I think there's one more book in here. Oh my gosh, amazing. We have Barbarians Taming. This is part of the Ice Planet Barbarians series, which Yaz knows I freaking eat this up every time. Not only is Ruby Dixon's writing the ultimate book slump killer, I also just love her writing. It's so whimsical, it's so straight to the point, it's cutesy, it's a fun time. It's basically a rom-com but with some serious topics built into, imagine Avatar aliens but on an ice planet instead of the jungle. I freaking love this. I love this so much. I can't wait. And I don't have this book. I have every book up until this one in the series. So I cannot wait. I'm not even gonna spoil it. I don't even wanna know who it's about. So we're just gonna put that off to the side. But thank you so much, Yaz. I'm so excited. And I think this is the last book with this special edition cover that Ruby has out right now, but I think she is releasing another one. And if I remember correctly, it comes out this year and they have a little baby on the cover, which is so cute. So I'm gonna need to look that up. But if you need a good slump killer and you love romance, a little bit of smut, sci-fi, and just like a good rom-com time, please look into these books. They're not that long, and I kid you not, every single book in this series I've read in one sitting, in one day. They're usually around 300 pages or so, with fun little epilogues if you want to read a little bit deeper, but the main story is 300 pages. The premise of these books is basically all these girls from around the world get abducted by aliens to be sold into the black market. Their spaceship crashes and all of these girls are now stuck on an ice planet with no way home. And the ice planet is inhabited by these big blue human-like aliens, so a lot like Avatar. I'd actually say a little bit more human than Avatar, but they have horns and tails and they're blue, so obviously a little different from what we are. They are just like all acts of service men. They just want to make their woman happy, make them feel good, and protect them and keep them safe. And what woman doesn't want that? Like, that sounds amazing. So this is just a really good time. Yaz knows how much I love these books. And I'm so, so happy that I got this. So thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to pick all of these up and I will be catching up soon. I will be reading this with you, so hang tight. By the time this is posted, I should be on finale, so pray for me. Okay, so outside of that book haul, I do need to finish my 2024 reading journal. Now, I didn't get completely through the reading journal, like the journal itself. It's about halfway through. So the way I designed this journal is the beginning 25% of the journal is all reading related. It doesn't necessarily relate to a year though. So it's just a bunch of bingo games and like my TBR tracker and everything like that. So that can be recycled year over year. I then use the next 25% for 2024 and plan to use the next 25% for 2025. So if that goes well, I'll probably use maybe the remainder of the journal for 2025 because I plan to do several more spreads than I did in 2024. So I already have my final 2 to 3 spreads plotted out in my journal. That's like just my 2024 wrap up, my awards, best book of the year, things like that. So I'm gonna work on that today, finish filling out some last minute books for 2024. And then in another video, I'm gonna do my full 2025 setup. I'm really excited. One thing I just wanna reflect on my 2024 journal is the fact that I tried not to go too overboard in aesthetics. Like, I think it's cute. I think I definitely could have put in like tons of more hours and made it look just absolutely fabulous. It's not quite that, so that's my goal for 2025. Honestly, 2024, I just wanted to stick with a reading journal consistently for the whole year. So as long as I completed it, that was my goal. Like, I just wanted to be consistent with it, but generally I'd say like there are definitely spreads I don't like. And I just kind of threw together as a way to like easily track my progress. Not necessarily because I was trying to be super cutesy with it, but I am so excited to start designing my 2025 reading journal because I have some different spreads in mind, some different layouts that are not only going to be way more clear on the purpose of those. I also found I ran out of space last year. So a lot of the book trackers that I did last year didn't even have enough space, so I couldn't even finish it. So for 2025, like my book log of the year, I'm gonna make sure I give 2 whole page flips for that because I only gave 1 page for it and I didn't have enough space and I had to just stop mid-year because I read way more books than I expected to. So that is just some reflections that I already know I'm gonna go into, but let's take a look at the journal and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. But before we get to all of this, let's go back and make sure that 2024 is completely filled out for the year. Okay, we are done with that. That was annoyingly tedious, but it's done. Now I'm actually gonna go in and write all of the book names that I read in 2024 because I have a spread later that I had set up that didn't have enough space for me to track all the books that I read because I read more than I expected. So this is actually just gonna be the one place that I track all of them. So we're gonna get good old Storygraph here. Storygraph is really great because it lists the 86 books that I read in 2024 without me needing to do anything crazy. So I'm just gonna kind of go down the line and write all the names. So I actually kind of want to go in and color all of the spines to look similar to the actual book spines. So I'm gonna do my best to do that right now. Okay, so we are done with all the books that I read this year. There's 86 of these. I'm like 50-50 on if I actually ended up loving like the color differences. It is kind of cool that all the spines are associated with the actual spine colors of the books. I don't particularly know if I actually love how it turned out, but it is what it is. That's something I am going to just keep in mind when I'm designing my 2025 spread. much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I always enjoyed watching epic book hauls and reading journal videos and all that fun stuff. So I hope that this was fun for you because I had a great time. My next video will likely be on my 2025 reading journal spread. So if you're not already subscribed, please do, and like this video to help my channel grow, as I'm pretty new to the YouTube book community. I'm on other platforms as well, which I'll link down below, but you won't want to miss my 2025 spread. I hope that you were encouraged by this video to potentially start your own reading journal. And I hope you also saw it's not going to be perfect likely unless you are super artsy-fartsy, which I envy you if you are. But most of us, I feel like, aren't. And if you're a perfectionist like me, sometimes starting can be the hardest part. And I'm always afraid that it's not going to turn out perfectly. And obviously, not everything was perfect in this journal, but it still turned out pretty great. And it was a really good way to just kind of start my reading journal. And now I have some better ideas moving into 2025. So I'm really excited to start putting together that video for you all. And I can't wait to see you all then. Love ya.